and I'm going to wait for confirmation that that is true before getting too far here. All right, looks like we are indeed live. Welcome, everyone. I'm very excited to do this with you. We did this morning. We watched the full short. I shared a never-before-revealed secret, and we had a lot of fun together. Tonight, I'm excited to do this for you again, if only because I am not a professional broadcaster, and I get to have a second shot at all of this. So that's very helpful for me personally. We have the opportunity here to watch the shift together, to talk about the shift. I hope that you will. I hope that you'll share your thoughts as we're watching together. That is what makes this so much fun. I know that many of you have already seen the shift, are familiar with it. Maybe you've seen it more than once. But this is an opportunity for us all to watch together. And even more than that, it's an opportunity to share the shift with people who maybe haven't seen it yet. This is the perfect time to introduce friends to the shift. So while we're prepping and I'm giving, kind of my beginning spiel here, please go forth and share this live stream with your friends on Facebook, in groups that you belong to, especially faith-based groups and movie groups. Let's bring people to the shift tonight and give them a chance to watch it. Maybe you have some friends who keep telling you, oh, yeah, I'm going to get to it. This is the time for them to get to it. This is the time to tell them, hey, it's happening right now. That the dude that made it is talking, and maybe he'll say something good. You never really know. That's part of the fun. And hopefully we can bring more and more people to the shift tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. We had a lot of people RSVP for this broadcast. My sense is that these broadcasts that happen later in the evening are very helpful to people. And so we'll probably be focusing on that more as we go forward. But we're very, very excited to have you with us tonight. One note about that sharing, we're going to ask you to please not share this live stream in the Chosen Fan Club page. We've had a little bit of pushback from the members of that page. They're kind of sick of hearing about the shift and wondering what's going on. And even though we've got people on our team that are from the Chosen team, most notably, of course, would be Dallas Jenkins, who is our executive producer. He just signed on a couple weeks ago. And last week we announced that Dan Hasseltine and Matt Nelson, the composers for The Chosen, have also signed on for the shift. They are very, very excited to do the music for us. Dan, Dallas, and Matt, of course, are three of the very, very few people who have the script and have read it, and they're excited about what we're doing. And I'm excited to have them, honestly. All three of those guys especially are true heroes of mine, creating entertainment in a space that we need good entertainment. We need to represent well as people of faith, that we can make high quality productions. And I feel like Dallas, Dan, and Matt are great examples of how to do that correctly. And they're certainly people that I look up to quite a bit. So to have them involved with the shift, to have them look at that script and say, hey, that's good, and I want to be a part of this. Honestly, it's a mind-blowing thing. It's humbling for me, and it's further demonstrative of how much this project is not about me. It's about the message. It's about what I believe the Lord is trying to do with this story, and what he's trying to teach people and the way that he's trying to reach people. So I'm so grateful for them, and you're probably going to hear me bringing them up a lot, and that's because I'm just really stoked. I'm just really happy to have them on board, and I do not get sick of talking about them. I don't see that happening anytime soon. So bear with me. I'm just going to drop their names now and again. And in fact, speaking of Dallas, last week we debuted on our live stream a video that Dallas put together for us of him talking about the shift and why he's involved. It's a really cool video, and for those of you that haven't seen it, we're going to check it out right now real quick before we get to our watch party. So let's check that out right now.
Hey there, I'm Dallas Jenkins. I'm the creator of The Chosen, and I wanted to share with you a little bit of why I have actually signed on to be one of the executive producers of The Shift. I remember when I first saw the short film, The Shift, it was probably a couple years ago, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't know who this person is who made this, and I had heard that they did it for no money, but I'm really impressed, and I believe that this guy has a future. And I wanted to see more. I wanted to see where the shift turned out. I wanted to see how it could be expanded upon. I wanted to see what Brock could do with an actual budget. So the shift now has a relatively small budget. They're really keeping the budget low, and that's one of the things I'm trying to do is help them maximize the budget that they do have and making sure that every penny that we spend is spent in the best and most efficient way possible, which is one of the things that I hope, if you've seen The Chosen, you've realized we did there too, was we didn't have Hollywood money, but we had enough to make something special. And I think that's what Brock has now. I think he's going to get, and I hope you can help him get enough to make something special. And I think the message of the shift and the future of the shift is so important. And almost as important as any of that is Brock Heasley. He didn't ask me to say this, I promise. But I can tell you, I've seen his work on a writing side. I've seen it on the directing side. And in my 20 years in the business, there are very few people who I've thought, I want to pour into this person because I think that this person has the chance to be an impactful and disruptive and important storyteller in this business. And that is Brock. Brock is someone who, when I read what he's writing, I'm connected to it. And I want to see more. And I want to be part of it. And it reaches me on both an intellectual level and an emotional level. And if you've seen The Chosen, maybe that's what you've appreciated about it as well, is that it's not just pure emotion. It's emotion that has some thought behind it, but it's also not pure intellect. It's intellect that has some heart behind it. And all of that is, there's kind of an umbrella over all of it of a spiritual importance. Something is being said about our universe and who created it.
In my unworthiness, save me that I may be worthy tomorrow.
I am greater than God.
Jesus
I am
Christ.
abundantly greater.
And that's what the shift is about. That's what The Chosen is about. It's one of the reasons why I've signed on board, and I hope you can get involved as well to be part of the beginning of what I believe is an important project and who I believe is an important filmmaker.
Hey, this is Brock. I hope you'll partner with us by backing the project at studios.vidangel.com/theshift. We only have until September 30th to get our full funding, and we can't do it without you. And I forgot to turn my mic on. I am so sorry. So sorry, everybody. I need to. I'm doing all my mixing myself here, and looking at many different screens. I have 3 screens going, so apologies for all of that lack of audio. But you should be able to hear me now. Yes, thumbs up. Yes. Cool. All right. So we had some comments come in as we were watching the Dallas video. People saying, "Hey, I still enjoy rewatching. Lots to notice with every viewing." That was Andrea, and okay, yes, audio is good. And let's see. Paula Sue says, "I've watched it several times and absolutely love it." Let's see, what else are people saying right now? We can't hear you. We can't hear. Yes, I know. I'm so sorry. I'm learning. Just in case you missed it last week, all of the technology I'm using to interface with you and show you videos and all of this is stuff that I learned literally last week. I did a crash course to be able to conduct these streams. It's even worse when I add Zoom into the mix, but I am trying to do better, and so we're going to get better as we go. But I thank you for your patience. Hopefully we didn't lose too many of you while you were just looking at me basically miming. So cool. Okay. Pamela says, "Come on, let's see that movie." All right, I love that, Pamela. We are going to get to the movie in just a minute. Before we do that, I want to just talk about some of the investments that have come in here. Dawn in Indiana recently, just in this afternoon, invested partnered with us for $250. Dawn in Indiana. Also, Lynn in Massachusetts partnered with us for $100. And Annette in New York partnered with us for $500. We are so very grateful tonight. You know, whenever we do one of these live streams, one of the things that we do is that we always shout out recent investments and especially live investments. That's what's so much fun, is that when we get to see your investment come in, see your partnership come in as I'm speaking to you, and I get to shout you out. So I'd encourage you, if you're like, hey, I know I want to invest in this film at some point, do it tonight so we can have fun and we can shout you out. That's what I want to do. That's what's fun for me. I think that's what's fun for you. And just beyond that, tonight is a really important night. We are just north of $20,000 shy of our minimum funding goal. We have a goal, which is tomorrow, September 9th, to get to $93,000. Once we hit $93,000, we unlock so many possibilities for getting the shift out to so many more people. Once we hit $93,000, we can take that money and we can put it into our ad campaign that we're currently running and that is running very, very low on cash. We can inject that with a whole bunch more, and then we have 3 full weeks after this Wednesday to get all the way to $1 million. We will be able to put the shift literally in front of millions of people on Facebook and other streaming and other social media platforms. And that is going to give us the best possible chance to make it all the way to $1 million. So if you hear me talking about September 9th, you hear me talking about please invest tonight, make it happen tonight, that's why. Because we are running out of time. We have until September 30th to get all the way to the million, but we can't do that unless we have the money to get it in front of people. And we know what the power is of getting this film in front of people. If you're here, if you're listening to me right now, chances are it's because you've already watched the film, or you saw clips, or somebody persuaded you, hey, come and check this out. That's because there's a power behind this film. And it's not something that I necessarily think came from me. I really genuinely don't. I believe that I am in charge of this. It's in my care, and I want to see this film made correctly, and I want to see it made with faith, and I want to see it made with your partnership. That's the whole point of this, is to bring this message out. We're getting a ton of hearts right now, so that's awesome. I love that. Thank you. We want to bring this message out to everybody. We want to bring this film out to everybody, and the only way we can do that is with money. Do I like asking for money? I absolutely do not. I think there are very few things I hate more in life. However, you cannot make a movie without money. We made the short film for $500. $500 is what we made the short film for. When you're watching that, you are watching a $500 film. That's not going to happen with a feature-length film. And also, I can't even do that again. I could never get a group of people together and make a movie for $500 again. That's impossible. It happened one time. I called in every favor I had. I asked all my friends and I asked them to come and help me out. And they did it for free, and they did it because I asked them to. You can't make that ask twice. Now we actually have to pay people. And we have to do a much grander thing, which is a full-length feature. So, every dollar we get is going to go into the feature, and that's what it's all about for me. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm talking to you. I'm not the guy you put in front of the camera, not normally. I'm the guy behind the camera, and I'm very, very comfortable there. I'm not so comfortable here, but I'm doing it because I believe in this film, and I believe that as we get out to more and more people, they're going to see what it's about, and they're going to bring their loaves and their fishes, as Dallas likes to say, and help us get this film made. So, all right. That's what's going on right now. And I hope tonight that I can answer whatever questions you have about the film, whatever questions you have about the investment terms. We can freely talk about that tonight. And we have moderators who are standing by, and they're writing down your questions as they're coming and then sending them to me so that I don't miss any. So if you're talking to me right now in the chat and I'm not responding to you, it's because I can only keep track of so many things at once. But I have people who are sending me those questions that I need to answer. Okay. One other two things to review real quick. First of all, let's check in on the investment and let's see where we're at right now. I want to set a goal. We always set a goal for the night, and let's see where we're at right now. Okay, that's where we were when I started the stream. Let me just refresh and just see if maybe anything's come in since we started. Does not look like it. We are sitting at $72,645 in investment with 206 investors, which is incredible. We broke through the 200 barrier today, which is very, very exciting. Let's set a goal for $75,000. If we can hit $75,000 tonight, that will be amazing. Realistically, we need to do a lot better than that. We have a $20,000 gap to cover between now and tomorrow night in order to hit our minimum funding goal, in order to have the time we need to get all the way to $1 million. But tonight, let's set a modest goal for $75,000 and get there. And I would love to blow past that. We've had several live streams. Usually we blow past our goal. Let's set that as a goal tonight. If it is on your heart, if you believe that this film needs to be made, if you're thinking about investing, if you know you want to invest, now is the time. We need it right now. We could not need it more than we need it right now. And so I hope you'll consider doing that. Okay. Let's see. Do we want to just jump into the film? Let's jump into the film, right? Let's do it. Let's watch the film together. I might stop it here and there just to see if I have a little comment or something like that. Hopefully that will work. I haven't actually tested the pause button. Let's just check over with Dallas real quick.
Hey there, I'm Dallas Jenkins. I'm the creator of...
Yes, pausing is working. Okay, that's great. Great. Okay. I had to test that to make sure everything was working properly. Okay, so we're going to launch into the short. And like I told you earlier, I have a special never-before-revealed secret that I'm going to reveal after we watch the short. If you were here for the afternoon live stream, you already know the secret. Please don't spoil it. Don't tell anybody what it is. I'm going to reveal it here to you after we watch the short. And this short, by the way, this version of the short is just a little bit different. It's got a slightly... Oh, gosh, I have somebody calling me. No, that's not good. I cannot talk right now. This version of the short is slightly different. The beginning of it has got a fade in instead of a hard cut from black to the movie. You don't care about that. Filmmakers will care about that. They'll probably wonder why I made that choice. It doesn't matter. What's really cool about this version is that you're going to see the full credits. And you're thinking, I don't really care about the credits. I care about the credits. A lot of people work very hard to make a movie, and I love watching the credits, even if I don't know the names. I like to see how many people are involved and how many are doing it. I got a message from our from our moderator that Pamela is getting really antsy to start the show. She's tired of hearing me jabber on. All right, let's watch it. Let's watch it. You're going to see the credits for the first time, and we'll talk about it as we go. And go.
Molly, do you mind turning that off?
Did you pay the bills last night?
Don't even watch it. It's just noise.
Mortgage, Kevin. You said you'd take care of it.
Did I? If you're so concerned, then pay it.
You said you would.
No, you say I said I would. I'm saying a different thing.
Awesome.
I'm not just going to agree with you because it makes it easier.
That's great, Kevin. Way to take a stand. I'll call the bank and tell them that you're too...
Just turn it off!
So clear this morning, the storm system, they gave us the showers and fresh snow yesterday. So much stronger.
And I've just been informed that once again I messed up with the audio. I had paused it earlier and I was talking to you and not realizing that you couldn't hear me. But what I was trying to say is that fight that we just saw with Molly and Kevin was a fight that's not too dissimilar to fights that my wife and I have had. Molly is actually played by my wife, Erin, who I think does a really good job. And it's the words that they say to each other are things that we have kind of said to each other that's taking place in our kitchen, which isn't to say that my wife and I are doing badly. We're doing fine. We've been married for 20 years very happily. But like every other couple, we do have fights now and again. And so, not ashamed to say, I borrowed a little bit from real life on that one. And now it's enshrined forever for people to enjoy and judge us. So there you go.
Where were you?
Brennan, where was I when?
The R&D meeting this morning. Early morning meeting.
Is there a memo on this?
There were two. It was an important meeting. There were donuts.
Okay. I miss donuts.
Dude, I try to cultivate an atmosphere of excellence and cool in this department, obviously, but I am tired of your crap. If it's not the meeting, then it's the weekly reports, the residual spreadsheets.
I don't remember the memo.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. You don't remember. You know what? Just take the rest of the day off. Tomorrow morning, bright and early, you and I will discuss your future.
All right, I just want to cut in here real quick and just celebrate a $100 partnership from Janine in Maine. Thank you so much, Janine. We are so appreciative of you and anyone who is going to invest tonight to help us get to our $75,000 goal. Okay, let's keep going. I promise I'm not going to interrupt constantly.
Hello?
Hi, honey.
Where are you?
I'm on my way home. Look, I'm sorry about this morning.
I'm out with friends. I'm not sure when I'm going to be back. Did you pay the bills yet?
What do you think? I was at work, and now I'm in the car.
Hey there. You okay? You okay?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Here, drink this.
Ooh.
Drink this. You've got a nasty gash right here on.
Ow, God, please.
I had a kid, so I bandaged it up, but you seem okay otherwise.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kevin, Garner.
Satan, pleased to finally meet you.
I'm sorry, my head's still spinning. What did you say?
Satan. My name's Satan.
As in the devil?
Yes?
It's a joke, right?
Why would I joke? I mean, look at you. I wouldn't be joking at a time like this.
God, okay. I gotta go, man. Thank you. I appreciate
Whoa.
Appreciate you helping me. I really do, man. If you don't mind, just.
Hey. Just stay awake. Stay awake. Keep talking to me.
Oh,
Hey.
what the hell, man?
Keep talking, man. It's gonna help you stay awake.
Oh.
And we need to talk business, okay?
What business? What business?
I want to offer you a job.
I have a job.
Not for long.
Okay, Satan, if you can help me to my car, I'd feel a little bit better.
Of course.
Where's my car? Where's the accident?
There was no accident here.
What do you mean there was no accident here? How long was I out back there?
A little while. You should check your phone.
What day is it?
What's your phone say?
No, you could have messed with my phone while I was
December
out.
14th. Same as before your accident.
You just said there was no accident.
No. I said there was no accident here.
Okay, one of the things I really love about this outdoor scene is that it's basically just pure Twilight Zone. Up until this point, you really would have no idea that this is any kind of a faith-based film. And in fact, when I brought this through film festivals, most audiences weren't thinking of it at all as a faith-based film. Even until the end, they didn't necessarily think of it until the final end, and then you kind of realize it. But especially here in this outdoor scene, in this alleyway with their dialogue, it's pure Twilight Zone. It's a man confronted with a mystery, some kind of metaphysical or scientific mystery that he cannot explain, that doesn't obey any kind of reality that he knows, and then trying to make his way through it. That's what I love about the Twilight Zone. That's what this is. I think it's such a great model for storytelling.
I need to see a paper.
What for?
I want to see a newspaper.
There, you see?
Buy it. Buy a paper. I want to see the ones on the inside. Don't tell me you don't have the money. Not in that suit.
We've just never had to prove it this far.
This one? You could have put that there. Who's we?
Me and you. Kevin, this isn't the first time we've done all this.
You're certifiable. I have never met you.
No, of course you haven't.
It reads the same.
Yes, this is tedious.
You tell me! Where is my car, and where did everybody go?
They didn't go anywhere, Kevin. You did. Are you sure you are where you think you are? I'm hungry. Let's get some dinner. I'm buying. What? Hey, how's little Josh doing? That work out for him? Just like I said, right? Kevin, what do you know about me?
Nothing. I don't know who you
Sure
are.
you do.
Two,
Yes, Tina, thank you.
right this way.
Fine. You're Satan. Is that what you want to hear?
And what do you know about me?
What can I get for you guys?
Steak and eggs, glass of milk, tall. Kevin,
Well, just have a coffee, please.
are you sure it's my treat?
Coffee's fine.
Kevin will have a coffee.
Okay.
You're a fiend, a crook, a liar. Your goal? Misery.
Straight out of Sunday school. You're religious then?
Yeah, well, sort of. I used to be.
That's different. Wouldn't you like to know how I do it all?
Do what?
Cause all this misery you're accusing me of. Although I prefer the term chaos.
You tempt people.
Basically. Let's talk about your marriage.
What about my marriage?
Molly's been cheating on you, clearly. Has been for a while.
What is this? What?
You guys haven't had a real conversation in, what, 3 years? What did you think was gonna happen? Number one cause of a broken marriage. Can you guess? Lack of communication. Misunderstanding. Misunderstandings are the reason for so much conflict in this world. I mean, wars are fought over them. Entire lucrative professions are built around fixing them. And when communication breaks down, chaos.
Steak and eggs, then a tall glass of milk.
Excellent. So prompt.
Can I get you anything else?
This is incredible. Tina, my compliments to your mother. She just keeps outdoing herself.
I'll let her know.
Please, there's so much food. Stay, join us.
No,
Stay. Eat. Good, right? This morning you had an argument with your wife about paying the bills. Did you promise to pay the bills?
I don't think so.
Two people see the same accident, but their accounts differ wildly. Why?
They each see it by their own perspective or bias.
Wrong. They both see different accidents. Each one of them sees a different accident. Both are telling the truth, and they'll never agree.
What?
There is no fiction. For every choice you make, there are countless other realities where you make different choices. And that's true for every single decision made by every person who ever lived. Choice breeds infinite possibilities. Choice breeds realities. There's not a thing you can imagine that doesn't already exist somewhere, somewhen. There is no fiction.
Parallel Earths.
So good. So good. So good when he gets it. I love this moment.
And you.
And right here is where we sometimes lose people. We've gotten a lot of comments lately objecting to some of the sci-fi elements. If you have any questions about the sci-fi elements, about this parallel Earth thing, or any challenge to that you want to offer, please, I invite you to ask your questions in the comments. I'd be more than happy to address it. And that goes for anything. I'm looking forward to answering your questions at the end of this. But I'll get out of the way. Let's keep watching.
Imagine the power to move one person from one reality to the next, to swap someone out for their doppelganger from another Earth, to shift them. That's what I do.
I never talked to Molly about paying the bills.
No, you didn't. I shifted her. Replaced her with a version of your wife whose husband did, in fact, promise to pay the bills.
But why?
Just one tiny difference. Disagreement, confusion, tension, chaos.
My wife.
Shifted. It's how the worlds work, Kevin.
Prove it. I don't believe you. I need to see it. Shift something.
What would you like me to shift, Kevin?
Shift her.
Sure.
Where did you go?
Somewhere else. I would have swapped her with another Tina, but you wouldn't have noticed. She's on some world where her parents never met and fell in love, where there is no Tina. Small deviations are usually best, but that's a big shift. Big shifts take people out of the game and into psych wards. Makes me sad.
I didn't mean...
Oh, don't get broken up about it. They got lots of daughters. Or they used to. Maybe it's time to find a new cafe.
What do you want from me?
Oh, Kevin, you're special. You don't even know. And I can't do this all by myself. It's a big job. A big job. On every world, I set up my power players, and they do my work.
What kind of work is that?
You know. Lie, cheat, steal, murder.
I've never hurt anybody my whole life.
No, but you have such potential. You're a halfway decent guy. It's the other half I'm particularly fond of, and It takes over in the end.
No. You don't know.
I do know. You do accept this offer. You're out there, Kevin, doing my work, and you're rewarded for it. You're a captain of industry. You're a leader. You're a Hollywood producer. You're a king. And I can provide all of those things for you, everything you ever wanted. I have 1,000 different versions of you on 1,000 different worlds doing my work. And they aren't hampered by an unfaithful spouse or an idiot supervisor who can't recognize their talents. Swear allegiance to me, Kevin, and I will lift you out of this embarrassing farce you call a life and into something glorious.
You can do that?
Just say the word. It would honestly be my pleasure.
But you're the one that made my wife disappear. You're the one that's been screwing everything up.
Don't be unfair, Kevin. You do your part too, and I can keep on doing mine. I can make your life truly, truly miserable, or I can make you deliriously happy. The choice is yours.
But that's not who I am. I'm not like that. I wouldn't know how to be like that.
Look at what you've done already today. That poor waitress.
I didn't.
Poor Tina. That's one life destroyed. Wasn't it easy? Just say the word. You're already on the path. You might as well keep going. Let me give you everything you ever wanted. Just say the word.
Father in heaven.
Are you praying?
Last heard from you, but I'm
Really?
Here there's
This
darkness.
is amazing.
and I'm
Please,
too
please,
small.
I love it.
Please.
Do you really think that God will help you after what you've done? You're tainted goods. You're not even worth his effort anymore. And even if he does help you, do you think I will ever leave you alone? Ever? You can't put me off. I am relentless. I am at your heels. I know you.
And if I am
You
worthy to
are
save
nothing.
me, that I may be
Nothing.
worthy tomorrow.
I am greater than God.
Jesus
I am
Christ.
certainly greater than.
I'm so sorry.
There's something about the way that the music kicks in when Kevin opens the door that gets me every time. You know, it's a sad thing what has happened, but it's a moment of personal triumph for Kevin that he was able to say that prayer in faith and get that result. And even though his life is going to be so much harder after this, it's the fact that he has made a choice and he's chosen the right way that makes it a victory. That's an important aspect of this. Right now you're seeing the credits. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that goes into making any film. It is not an easy thing to put together. It is not an easy thing to corral people. And I just hope you'll take a second just to watch these. I have something really special to share with you, and I'm going to share it with you just as soon as these credits are over. And it's something that I've never revealed before except for this afternoon if you were on this afternoon's live stream. But today's the first day that I'm revealing this, and it has very much to do with the prayer. So if you'll just bear with us here for a second while we watch these credits and just take some time just to appreciate these people who did so much to help this film get made, and did it out of the kindness of their hearts and for no money. The $500 that we spent to make this film was entirely for food, so that everybody could eat while we were having these long days on set. The special thanks you're seeing right now are mostly the spouses of the people that were involved. I always want to know the name of the spouse of the people who were on my sets because I want to thank them, because I believe that spouses are very important in allowing us to do the things that we do, especially on a volunteer basis. These power players, extra special thanks, are people who donated to our campaign or to our fund to get the film into film festivals, secular film festivals, which is mostly where people saw it. And the songs you're seeing here, these are very, very old songs that have no copyright attached to them, like from the 1920s. I got them because they were cheap off the internet, because they don't cost anything. But of course, it made it all a little creepier. And then right here at the end, this is very, very important. It's important to always give thanks to our Father in heaven. And I always, whatever I do, I like to include a scripture verse. And in this case, it's Matthew 4, 8 through 11. And for those of you that are not overly familiar with the scriptures, or like me, couldn't remember it just based on a number, Matthew 4, 8 through 11 is when Christ is tempted by Satan. And we actually have some dialogue together. And Satan essentially offers Christ the riches of the world. And Christ refuses the temptation. And what's really significant to me about that story isn't necessarily that Christ refused the temptation, because of course he's going to. That's who he is. He's the Savior. What's significant to me is what happens after he refuses. And the scriptures read, and I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but basically angels come to bear him up. Angels come to help him. And I think what you're going to see in the Shift feature film is some of that bearing up. And maybe in ways that Kevin isn't going to recognize at first. But I do believe that when we demonstrate our faith, when we are enduring a great trial, and then we come in with our faith and we take that leap of faith, that chance, that the belief that God is going to come and help us no matter what that trial is, angels will come and they will bear us up. And it's not always easy to see that in the moment, but I believe that they're there. I believe that's incredibly accurate and true, and I've certainly seen it in my own life. The Shift is a film that was made. It was made because I had to make it. It was made because I felt strongly that there was a message here that needed to be shared. And I talked about this a little bit in the live stream earlier today, and I've talked about this before. And if you're just coming to the Shift for the first time tonight, I beg you to hold on. And there's a really important story that I want to share with you, and then I'm going to share with you the never before revealed secret. But one of the criticisms against the Shift is that it deals in darkness, that it's dark. And some people don't like that. And I don't think that's necessarily what we're used to getting from our faith-based entertainment. But I think that darkness and representing darkness and showing the light that cuts through the darkness is really, really important. Because when you think about your life and you think about the times in your life when the light of God shone the brightest, when the love of God was the most obvious and apparent to you, I guarantee that was during a time of trial, a time of darkness. And so showing darkness on screen, showing somebody going through an incredible trial, being oppressed, almost literally oppressed by darkness and the dark things of the world, is not a bad thing to do, so long as it is for the purpose of showing the light of God. And I believe that's what the Shift does, and that's what the feature film is going to do. And I'll give you an example from my own life. This is a story that is sometimes difficult for me to tell because it is extremely personal, but this film is extremely personal to me, and it's coming from a very real place. So I want to tell you about some darkness that I've encountered. Some of you know this story. in my life, when I was much younger, when I was coming up on my 12th birthday, my father was involved in a shooting. He was shot in an armed robbery 13 times. He was closing up his store, putting the guns away. He's a store owner. He sold guns, sold firearms. He was packing them up for the night to put them into the safe. Two men burst into the store, and they began shooting immediately. And the first bullets hit my father, and he went down almost immediately. The next bullets went all on the display cases where the guns were kept and housed, and the shooters immediately started just gathering the guns and putting them into a bag. But because they didn't want to leave any witnesses behind, they continued to shoot my father while he was lying on the ground, up and down his body. Something I haven't shared before. When he was lying on the ground, the doors to the display cases on his side, the wooden doors, had been moved and opened because he was taking the guns out and putting them in their cases. The bullets that they shot that night were going right into those doors, and the doors stopped those bullets, which they should not have done, not at that range. We're talking about point blank. My dad's store was very, very small. We're talking about point blank range, and they're shooting through these doors, and the bullets actually stopped. Were stopped by the doors. So there was some divine intervention going on that night, and there's a lot more to that story I'm not sharing, but I do believe that there was something really special happening that night. Nevertheless, my father was shot a total of 13 times. 13 bullets hit my father. And they left, and this store was on the outskirts of the town where we lived. And my father was lying on the ground, literally bleeding to death. I won't get graphic on you. Literally bleeding to death. And he had a decision to make. If he was going to get up and get to the phone and call 911, or let the darkness win and die. And my father was a fighter, so that wasn't going to happen. That was not an option. So he got up, and he had to get way up. He had to get up on legs that had been essentially shot to pieces, and grab the phone off the wall mount, lay back down and dial the number. Or rather, I think these were very, very old phones, so you had to dial the number and then lay back down. Unfortunately, he dialed the wrong number. He dialed 411. So he had to get back up and redial, lay back down. We have a recording of his 911 call, and it's harrowing. It's the voice of a man who knows that he is dying. And in that call, he was very adamant with the paramedic that he was talking to that he get a message to my mother and to us. I have three brothers, to myself and my brothers as well. And the message that he was adamant about was that my mother knows that he loves her and that we should be good. That was his message, that he demanded that the paramedic get to my mother, tell my wife that I love her, and tell the boys to be good. That's a lot. That's a lot to hear. In that moment, when I listen to the tape and I hear him saying that's the last thing he wanted to say. That was the thing that was the most important to him. And the paramedics came in, they got him, they loaded him up into the ambulance, and they drove him to the hospital. 3 weeks later, he left the hospital in a wheelchair. A few months after that, he graduated to a walker, and eventually he was on his own 2 feet. A year later, he was able to run and play with us. It was a miracle. It was an absolute miracle. And the thing that is the most significant to me about all of that isn't so much, what my dad did and all of that. It's about his attitude afterwards. He would make a joke, and the joke went like this: just give me 5 minutes alone in a room with those guys, talking about the men that shot him. Just give me 5 minutes alone in the room. That's all I want. And it was a joke. It was something he said. He was frustrated with his life and the physical handicaps that came, with being shot, as you would imagine. But he didn't really harbor any ill will towards the men that did it. It wasn't something he dwelled on. He never suffered a significant trauma after that he had to endure. And so he was such a great example to me of moving on, of forgiveness. And that all came because of this darkness that entered our lives. I was only 12 when that happened. 8 years later, it happened again. My dad was packing up the guns for the night, putting them in their cases, and then to bring them into the safe. And two men burst in with their guns, and they immediately started shooting. The first ones entered my dad's chest, the second ones entered his stomach, and he died shortly thereafter. Exact same circumstance, exact same incident, and this time he died. At the time, I was serving as a missionary in Arizona. I hadn't seen him for 10 months. And that night I got the call from my mom. She called and she let me know, Brock, your father died. And you know, having lived through something like that once already, in the sense of a tragedy in our family, a darkness that had come and visited us, and now having to do it again, but it's worse. It seemed cruel in the moment. I wasn't angry at God or anything like that. I didn't cross my mind. I was a missionary. I was lucky in the sense that I was spending my days looking to God and praying and reading the scriptures. I was very fortunate in that way. It was very much a help to me in that moment. But still, after I hung up the phone with my mom and went into the bedroom, I took my tie off my neck. I hung it up in the closet. I looked down at my feet. I kicked off my shoes, and I squared up my feet, just squared them up against the closet. A pointless, silly little act that somehow made me feel better. I think it was just the sense of control, that here's something I can do that's right and perfect when everything else was going wrong. And it made me strangely pleased or happy or something. I don't know. But I kept thinking about the men that killed my father. Did they even think? They didn't know him? Did they know him at all? Had they ever met him? Did they come in the store earlier that week, case the place, and figure out that this guy was vulnerable at night, and they could come and do this to him? Were they, did they think about any of that? Did they think about whether or not he has a family? Did they think about, what somebody like that could mean to other people, or did they just care about the guns? And in that moment, I was so angry at them. I was so mad, and as I think anybody would be. And as I thought about them, and I thought about what they did, and I thought about how they changed my life, changed my mom's life, changed my brother's life, who were all younger than me, who would now have less time with my dad than I did. And my youngest brother, would he even remember him? And these were the things that were running through my mind. And then all of a sudden, it just stopped. I didn't have that anger anymore. It went away. I knew that the greater tragedy was not my father dying. This greater tragedy was what the two men that killed him had done to themselves. Let me explain what that means. Loss of life is always tragic. It's very, very difficult to endure, especially as family members. My family, in fact, is dealing with a loss right now. But that night, the loss of my father was not the greatest tragedy of that night. The greatest tragedy of that night was that the two men had committed a sin that large. If you've ever done something really, really wrong, committed an act that you can't take back, maybe it's somebody you've disappointed, a heart you broke, maybe it's maybe it's just something that changes the way somebody looks at you, and it's a betrayal, and you feel awful. I think most of us have done something that we felt truly, truly bad about. I don't know if the men who killed my father felt bad that night. I don't know if even now, 24 years later, if they feel bad about it. I have absolutely no idea. But here's what I do know for sure. I do know that for sure, that one day they are going to figure out what they've done, and they're going to feel it. And the impact of that, the knowledge that they separated themselves from God that much, because that's what happens when we sin. We separate ourselves from God. That separation that they caused to happen for themselves is a greater tragedy than my father dying. Because my father, I feel very confident about where he is. He was a good man. He was a faithful man. Not perfect, but he was good. The men that did this, I feel sorrow for them. I feel empathy. I feel sympathy. And that night, as I stood there at my closet with my feet squared up, I felt love. I felt genuine love and empathy and sympathy for the men that killed my father. And I forgave them in that moment. And that sense of love and that forgiveness has never left. Not since that day. I've never once had a moment of anger towards them since. Not one. And I'm so grateful for that. And when I talk about that, I'm not special. I was given a gift, and that gift, I believe, is the love of God. I was able to perceive them as children of God, and that perception has never left me. That is such a huge gift for me. When I talk about my father's death, I talk about death. I talk about it in terms of I feel like I'm a better person because of it. And it's not a horrible thing to say. I think that's right, and I think that's true. My father dying opened my mind to the love of God, opened my heart to the love of God and love towards other people, and it's something I've carried with me for the rest of my life. So it is something that I am grateful for. So how do we bring this all back to the shift? The shift is, in a small way, a representation of the kind of darkness that can enter our lives and the witness that can come from that. My family, myself, we've passed through some darkness. But without that, how would we know the light? How would I know the light that I was just describing? How would I feel the love of God that deeply? How would I have these kinds of understanding without that trial? And so when we pass through things that are difficult, and I live in California right now, it's on fire. Everywhere around me is on fire, and people are suffering. People are losing their homes. And I know that good can come out of it. I don't say that lightly, and I don't say that to make light of their circumstance, because I think that none of this is to take away from the seriousness of the trials and the experiences that we have. And I really hope this is not being taken incorrectly in that way. I am simply saying that whatever we pass through, there is a light to be seen within that darkness, and there is a benefit for us personally. And if we can achieve that benefit by looking to God in the same way that Kevin did, in the same way that the prayers that I said that night for my father and my family did. We look to God and we will see the light, and it will overcome whatever that darkness is. I don't care what it is. I don't care how serious it is. It will overcome. To me, that's what the shift is. The shift is about showing the darkness so that we can shine the light all the brighter. The short is the tip of the iceberg. The feature film, the bigger story, what Kevin has to pass through after he walks out that door, that's the story that I really, really want to tell. I really want to show somebody really passing through something and seeing God come in a big way. And achieving an understanding of God and his love and how he shows that love to us. There's an incredible story to be told. Not doing the hard sell tonight, even though this is our most desperate hour. I think what's more important right now is what the message of the shift is. If you feel like it's an important message, if you feel like anything I've said is important, and if you love the film and you want to see more, I hope that you will come in and participate with us, partner with us. We're trying to get to $93,000 tomorrow, $93,000 tomorrow night in order to bring this movie to so many more people. I don't want to do the hard sell tonight. I just want to tell you that's where we're at right now. We are very close to not being able to continue this campaign much further. That's where we're at right now, and I want to be really honest about that. If we can get to that minimum goal, then we can keep going. I feel like this story is so important, and I feel like it's so needed. We have a need for better Christian and faith media. There are so many comments coming in, and I'm so sorry I'm not reading them. I hope that the moderator will pass along the most important things for me, and especially the questions. I know there are a lot of questions I've missed. But this film, I feel like it's necessary. I feel like it was given to me. The story was given to me so that I could put it out into the world, and so that we can have something better than what we've gotten before. It's time to level up. It's time to tell deeper stories. It's time to reach people who would never give faith media a chance. And we can do that with a story that acknowledges the reality of what we are all going through, stares it in the face, and says, this is what it is, but God is there. That is what the shift is for me, and I know that's what the shift is for many of you. While I was talking, we had $100 come in from Eric in Florida. Eric, thank you so much for partnering with us. Thank you for believing in what we are doing. It is so important. The moderator tells me that we are not getting a lot of questions tonight, just a ton of support. Thank you for your support. Noah says, praying for you and others in California. Becky says, you have a beautiful heart. I have a hard time with comments like that. I'm trying to. Pamela says, I apologize for being so antsy at the beginning. I just knew how important it was for as many people as possible to watch, and I was concerned they may check out before they were able to watch this important film. I'm so sorry for this deep pain for you and your family, Brock. Thank you, Pamela. No, being antsy is good. I it's easy to lose track of time when I'm doing this, so I appreciate that you were kind of prompting me to do that. We had we had about 90 people watching, and I'm glad we didn't lose them during the short. So I'm glad that happened. Let's see. We have another question. Here's a question from Marissa that I've caught. Oh no, wait. We have an earlier question from Janice that I missed. Oh, and I haven't revealed the secret. I told that whole story and I totally forgot about the secret. Would you like to hear the secret? Let's tell the secret. Okay. So here is the never before revealed secret, unless you were with us this afternoon. The one question that nobody ever asked me about the shift, that I can't believe nobody ever asked me, is what is Kevin's prayer? You probably think you know Kevin's prayer, and it's probably because you've said a prayer like that. You've had a moment in which you were desperately crying out to God because of the forces that were combined against you. But the prayer that Kevin gives in the short is so obscured by Satan yelling at him, by the sound design, by the music. There's actually a lot of it that you've never heard, that you have no idea what it is. So for the first time ever, or the second time, but the second time today, first time, whatever, you understand what I'm saying. I'm going to go ahead and read the full prayer to you. This is everything that Kevin says in the moment. Oh, I lost my place. I got to go find it. Here we go. Kevin's prayer. Father in heaven, I know it's been way too long since you last heard from me, and I'm sorry, but I'm in real trouble here. I am confronted by darkness, and I am too small. Please, please, please help me. I'm not worthy of your blessing, but I know you love your children. I have faith in that much at least. I can't fight this myself. I can't do it. Please turn thy face toward me, and in my unworthiness save me, that I may become worthy tomorrow. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. So that's Kevin's prayer. You know, it's a really simple prayer. I'm sure that the prayer that you hear in church from your pastors every Sunday is a lot better than that prayer. But I wanted the prayer to be very real, even though most of it couldn't really be heard. It was important to me to have a very real prayer from a man that, you know, is trying to fight his way back to faith. So yeah, that was the prayer. Just as a reminder, our goal tonight is to reach $75,000. We're pretty far from that right now. If it is on your heart, if you want to support this film, I encourage you to do so now. We need the investment. We have a pretty big gap to fill to get to 93 tomorrow night. So if investing in the shift is something that you feel is important, please do so. We have people that are standing by if you run into any kind of trouble. If you have any questions about the investment, I encourage you to leave those questions here. I'm happy to answer whatever I can while I have this time with you. And I appreciate the time that everybody is spending with us. We have another question here. The question is, did Satan, this is from Janice, did Satan go away on his own, or did Kevin's prayers do it? I would say the answer to that, Janice, is neither. Satan did not go away on his own, and Kevin's prayers did nothing. The truth of the matter is that when we pray, we're asking for God to come in. And so anything that is done at that point, that's God doing that. So Satan going away is not of his choice. And it's not something that Kevin makes happen. The implication that I'm trying to make very much there is that in that moment, Kevin receives a witness, and it's God that's come in. That is my intention with that. Another question here is, do you have anything you can tell us about where the story would go from here? So I don't want to spoil too much, but I can tell you a little bit, and I'll tell you something for those of you that missed the afternoon broadcast. After this afternoon, there was a question asked that did get a piece of new information out of me. The question was, in the feature film, will Kevin have a chance to meet any other Kevins? Well, because we know there's parallel worlds, there's many other Kevins out there, many who have taken the deal with Satan. And so the question was, would Kevin ever have a chance to meet another version of himself, essentially? And the answer to that, as a person who loves stories and as a storyteller, if we didn't at some point have a meeting between two different Kevins who were wildly different from each other. So I think it's safe to say that is going to happen. What the circumstance of that is and how that goes, I won't reveal that at all. But I think it's safe to say that we will see a moment like that. And so I think that'll be really fun and maybe even a little scary, because the other Kevins out there, they're not such great guys. So we can expect that to be a very interesting experience. Beyond that, I'll just say that when Kevin goes out the door, he's just heard Satan say, even if he does help you, do you think I will ever leave you alone? Ever? Satan is going to be true to his word. What's brave about Kevin saying that prayer is that it is a moment in which he knows, well, he doesn't know. He really doesn't know what's going to happen, but he knows that by defying Satan, at the very least, he's making things much, much harder for himself. And that is going to be true. What Kevin experiences after walking out that door is going to be worse than what he's already experienced. That said, the feature film is not going to be an exercise in misery. That's not what I'm going to do. It's going to be an exercise in seeing trial and seeing how, asking the big questions about why does trial happen? Why does suffering happen? And so Kevin's going to need to suffer a little bit more. I keep comparing the feature film to the story of Job, that Kevin is a modern day Job. And I don't think you see that so much in the short film, but in the feature film, that parallel is going to be really, really obvious. So, Job is probably the person in scriptures outside of Jesus Christ who suffered the most. Is Kevin going to get to Job-like levels of suffering? I don't know. That'll be for you to decide. Needless to say, I'm going to try to put him through his paces and see what he can learn, if anything, from being put through those paces. Because that's really what it's all about, right? If we're not learning something, what is the point of it? I don't want to say too much more about that. But that's where we're going with the story. We want to show Kevin struggling and what happens with that. This is from Nanette. This is not a question, it's a statement. I don't know what it says. I'm just going to read it. We'll experience it together. I believe Jesus wants us to know how our faith will help us preserve. I think she meant persevere. I believe this film will help us do that by, first of all, seeing Kevin pray to God for the strength, and we need to see how, as time goes on, and he is still having tragedy, how he deals with that. Yeah, that's exactly it, Nanette. That's exactly the point. Where I think the shift is very different, besides the sci-fi-ness of it all and all that stuff, where I think the shift kind of separates itself from other faith-based narratives, or fictional narratives, is that we're not talking about a man who is coming to faith. We're talking about a man who has a witness of faith, and then he's got to maintain his faith after that. That's what the bulk of the film is going to be about. And so seeing how Kevin deals with that, seeing how Kevin deals with, okay, God was there, and I know that, and now where is he? Now where is he? That's the question. I think that's the question that as believers we're constantly asking, right? Because if we're believers, if we've had witnesses of faith, and if we know that God is real and that he's true, then why do we have moments where it doesn't seem like he's really there at all, and it feels like we're doing everything on our own? We all have moments like that. Whether or not you feel comfortable admitting that is true. There's just moments where we wonder, when is God going to show up? And that's the struggle that Kevin's going to have. That's what he's going to be dealing with. From Mary Lou, is there a mail-in for a donation I don't do online? Great question, Mary Lou. We do not. This is actually not a donation. First of all, it's an investment. We're not asking for free money here. We're asking for you to become partners with us by buying shares in the film. And second of all, there is no mail-in. The only way that we can do this is through the online, what we call the VAS portal. That was set up with the SEC. It took us a year to do that. And it's the only way we can accept money. Unfortunately, we're just highly regulated, and it's the only way that we can accept money. So I appreciate your willingness. I understand you don't do online. If you would like to make an exception in this case, that'd be great. But if not, we totally understand that. And that actually gets to another really good point that I want to cover, which is that, if not everybody can invest. And we understand that, especially in a time like this. This might be the worst time to ever try to crowdfund something like this, but this is where we are. We don't always choose the timing. If you can't invest, there's still so much you can do. You can like the page, the Facebook page. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can watch The Shift on VidAngel to kind of help it rise in popularity. You can share these live streams, and you can message your friends. And in fact, and I forgot to announce this earlier, a very special thing happened this afternoon. Some of our fans created the Shift film fan club. If I've got that name wrong, please tell me. But there is now a Shift film fan club on Facebook. It's where what they're calling themselves the Shifty Soldiers, and they're people who are our biggest fans who are getting together and trying to coordinate their efforts and mobilize to get the word out. And so that's a place where I can talk to you, and you guys can talk to each other and share ideas for how to get the shift out there to even more people. So I'd encourage you, if you want to join that group, maybe I know some of the people who founded that group and moderate that group are with us in the chat now. Jenna Bennett is Jenna Sue Bennett. I don't know if she goes by both names or not. She was the one that created the group, and she's here with us. Maybe Jenna, you could drop a comment for us and a link so that we can check it out. But we so appreciate that. That is not something that I created. That's not something that I asked for. It's something that Jenna decided to do on her own because she believes in the shift and wants to see it happen. And so this is a great place to coordinate efforts to do that. Cool. Let's see. What other questions do we have here? Andrea says, Satan was surprised that Kevin had been religious. Is that something that is different between him and his more depraved counterparts? The answer is yes. That is a big clue as to why we're telling this story and not the story of other Kevins, and why this Kevin was able to pray. This Kevin has a religious background, and you can safely assume that the past Kevins not so much. They don't have that same background. So this Kevin is different, and this religious background, even though he's kind of set it aside before the film begins, and you'll find out in the feature film why that is. This Kevin is different in that way, and he remembers the lessons he's been taught, and he's able to use them in the moment when it counts the most. We had another question here. Were the people in the restaurant people that accepted Satan's deal and got cheated? I'll just answer this very plainly. No, that is not their story. They are not Kevin. Their story is not Kevin's. They are entirely different and separate. Their status is a totally different thing. And that is something we're going to deal with directly in the feature film. Why this diner? Why is Satan able to do this? Why are these people there and just doing whatever he says? Why is Tina's father pushing her towards Satan? He seems to know this is not a good thing. And having had it happen to many daughters, he definitely knows what's going to happen to her. So what would make a father do that? What would make all these people sit there and not do anything and just basically behave as though they are puppets? What would cause that? That's something we're going to be dealing with in the feature film. But they are not like Kevin. They are different than Kevin. They were not given the same deal. Let's see. Question: what if I can only give once this time? I'm not sure I totally understand the question, but I think what's being asked here is if you can only invest once. I think that's the question. Of course, if you're investing just once tonight, that's great. We hope everybody can invest tonight. Yeah, you can invest more than once. If you can only invest once tonight and you want to invest later a different night, that's great. If the only time you can invest is tonight, that's great too. We love our $100 investors. We love it when people come in with $1,000 or $2,000. That's great too. But we love anybody doing whatever they can. You know, it's the principles of the widow's mite. It's not how much you do, it's that you do, and doing what you can. So, you know, we would love to have lots and lots of $100 investors, because that's that many more people that are partnered with us and helping us to get the word out and telling their friends about what we're doing. That's way better than having 3 guys in suits who can just fund the whole thing themselves. Having an army, having our shifty soldiers, I can't say that. I slur my words. That's so valuable, and it's going to be great as we go out to distributors to talk about all the people that are involved in this and how they're going to be telling their friends, go and see this film when it hits theaters. That's going to be really exciting. Here's another question. Portraying everyday misunderstandings and miscommunications from an outside perspective was a little too close to home. I'm hoping the following films will shed some light on changing thinking to get better outcomes. Yeah, I hope so too. I think the communication thing is I think there's some truth to what Satan is saying, as crazy as that is. You know, he'll say things that are true to kind of win us over. But I think he's telling us what some of his tricks are, and breaking down communication is a great way to cause discord. And we've got another question here. Is there a story behind your fingernails? I should have talked about this right up front. I'm sure there's some people who probably came in, looked at my fingernails, and thought, I do not want to hear a word this guy has to say. The fingernails were done by my daughter. You know, we are in the middle of a pandemic. We're 6 months into this thing now. She hasn't seen a friend since March, and I will do anything to put a smile on her face. And when my wife told me that the thing she wants to do most in this world is paint my fingernails, I said, okay. And so for the first time in my life, I have painted fingernails. It's not really my usual look. I'm not super thrilled about it, but it put a smile on her face, and that made it worth it, and so that's why I did it. That's why the fingernails. From Natalie, do you take Bitcoin? I do not believe so. The only thing we can take is credit cards and ACH. And I highly recommend ACH because there's no fee associated with that. With credit cards, there is a 4.5% fee that will be applied to the investment. So it costs a little bit more to invest with credit card. But ACH, you don't have to worry about that. So I highly recommend ACH for that reason. Twyla from California just partnered with us for $100. Thank you, Twyla. Thank you so much. We have a goal of $75,000 tonight. It may be a little ambitious, just based on what we're seeing coming in. So we so appreciate you, Twyla, for coming in and supporting us and partnering with us. It means so much when people sacrifice what they can to help support this film. And it means so much to me personally, but it's not really about me. It's about the movie, and it's about what we're trying to do in forwarding the kingdom, to be quite honest. Cool. Okay, what else am I missing? See, Vicky says, thank you. I'm ecstatic for this film. Let's see. Diana asks, is there a mailing address where I can send a donation I don't like to do online? I think that's the question we had earlier. I already answered that. We cannot take mail-in, and it's not a donation. It's an investment. Apparently the moderator is making fun of me. Noah let me know. That's great. Got another question here from Andrea. She says, I wondered too if it took Kevin longer to believe Satan's assertions because of his past religious background. I think that's fair to say. You know, one of the things that Satan says to Kevin at one point is, when Kevin asks to see a newspaper and he wants to see the ones on the inside, and Satan's kind of put out by that, right? He says it's tedious, we've never had to prove it this far, he says. So, it's another clue that this Kevin is a different sort of Kevin. This is not the same Kevin that he's used to. Let's see. I'm having some trouble with the Facebook feed, so I'm going to refresh it real quick. Another question from Noah. Will your daughter be doing your hair next? Thanks, Noah. In case you don't know, I don't have any hair. It's all shaved off because I'm losing it. So that's why I wear the hat. So no, she won't be doing my hair. Thank you for the reminder, Noah. That's okay. All right. Well, we've been going for almost an hour and a half here. Let's see where we're at right now. Let's check the current total, see what we're doing. That's where we were. Let's refresh that and see where we are. We are at 72,945 with 208 investors, 208 partners right now. That is pretty cool. We are just a hair's breadth away from 73,000. It would be great to reach 75. If we can't do that, maybe we can reach 73. Maybe there's somebody who can put in, well, $100 would put us right over. A minimum investment, and we'd be right over. And that'd be really cool to see. Don't know if that can happen tonight. We appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you joining us for this live stream and checking the film out. Is there anybody here who's checking the film out for the first time? Anybody that's left that's still here with us? I'm going to go ahead. I think before we go, I think it would be really fun to watch the Dallas video one more time. I love what Dallas has to say. Not so much what he says about me, but what he says about the shift and how important it is. I feel like it's worth revisiting. Maybe we'll wrap up with that unless there are more questions that you all want to throw at me while we're watching this. So let's check this out one more time. For those of you that missed it earlier, here's Dallas talking about the shift.
Hey there, I'm Dallas Jenkins. I'm the creator of The Chosen, and I wanted to share with you a little bit of why I have actually signed on to be one of the executive producers of The Shift. I remember when I first saw the short film, The Shift, it was probably a couple years ago, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't know who this person is who made this, and I had heard that they did it for no money, but I'm really impressed, and I believe that this guy has a future. And I wanted to see more. I wanted to see where the shift turned out. I wanted to see how it could be expanded upon. I wanted to see what Brock could do with an actual budget. So the shift now has a relatively small budget. They're really keeping the budget low, and that's one of the things I'm trying to do is help them maximize the budget that they do have and making sure that every penny that we spend is spent in the best and most efficient way possible, which is one of the things that I hope, if you've seen The Chosen, you've realized we did there too, was we didn't have Hollywood money, but we had enough to make something special. And I think that's what Brock has now. I think he's going to get, and I hope you can help him get enough to make something special. And I think the message of the shift and the future of the shift is so important. And almost as important as any of that is Brock Heasley. He didn't ask me to say this, I promise. But I can tell you, I've seen his work on a writing side. I've seen it on the directing side. And in my 20 years in the business, there are very few people who I've thought, I want to pour into this person because I think that this person has the chance to be an impactful and disruptive and important storyteller in this business. And that is Brock. Brock is someone who, when I read what he's writing, I'm connected to it. And I want to see more. And I want to be part of it. And it reaches me on both an intellectual level and an emotional level. And if you've seen The Chosen, maybe that's what you've appreciated about it as well, is that it's not just pure emotion. It's emotion that has some thought behind it, but it's also not pure intellect. It's intellect that has some heart behind it. And all of that is, there's kind of an umbrella over all of it of a spiritual importance. Something is being said about our universe and who created it.
Nothing.
That I may be
Nothing.
worthy tomorrow.
I am greater than God.
Jesus
I am
Christ.
certainly greater than.
And that's what The Shift is about. That's what The Chosen is about. It's one of the reasons why I've signed on board, and I hope you can get involved as well to be part of the beginning of what I believe is an important project and who I believe is an important filmmaker.
Hey, this is Brock. I hope you'll partner with us by backing the project at studios.vidangel.com/theshift. We only have until September 30th to get our full funding, and we can't do it without you. I did it again. I did this earlier and I did it again, and I'm so sorry. I had my mic off. I think I need to stop trying to be so fancy with the mixer. Sorry about that, everybody. That was Dallas that we heard from. Dallas, of course, is our executive producer, and he is also the creator of The Chosen, and we are so fortunate to have him on board. But he's not the only person from The Chosen who's on board The Shift. We also have Dan Hasseltine and Matt Nelson. The composers for The Chosen are also going to be our composers of our music, and of course Dan and Matt have a long and an incredible career in music. Both of them have been associated with Jars of Clay in one way or another, with Dan, of course, being the singer-songwriter for Jars of Clay. They're incredibly talented guys, and to have people from The Chosen on The Shift is incredibly significant to me. If I had my way, we could get as many people as we could from The Chosen. I have no shame. I will steal as many as we can. So, don't be surprised if we start pulling in some actors. There's some actors that I'm already looking at from The Chosen that I think would be perfect for the shift. They just don't know it yet. And so I'm looking forward to getting in touch with them. And I happen to know a guy who knows them. So that might be a little bit easier than it was just a month ago. But let's see. We had a comment from Tiffany. She says this was her first time tonight. She had not seen the shift before, and she loved it. Love hearing that, Tiffany. Thank you so much for joining us and giving the shift a chance. Anybody who gives the shift a chance, I'm just so impressed, because I think that it is kind of a difficult film to wrap your head around if you just hear about it. Wait a minute, a guy meets the devil, and there's parallel worlds, and there's sci-fi-ness, and what? I think it can sound very strange and off-putting just on a description. So whenever somebody gives it a chance, it's very exciting. We just had another investment come in, another partnership come in. Let's go to the feed and see what we're looking at here. Let's check it out. We've got, what are we at now? This just came in from Kara, who is one of our previous investors. She put in some more, $100 more to put us over the top. We are now above $73,000. So we didn't quite hit our $75,000 tonight, and that's okay. We did get above 73, and that's great, because that's you doing what you can do, and we appreciate that. Just had a question come in from Jenna asking me about the actors that I was talking about for The Chosen and who I might be interested in. She wants to know if I can hint at any names. I can't. I don't want to ruin any relationships or any future parts, because I don't know who's gonna say yes and who's gonna say no. And so no, I can't hint at any names. But needless to say, I love The Chosen as much as you guys. I've been a fan since it was just called The Shepherd. And before they even started the whole campaign to get the money. That's how far back I go, and I'm such a fan of those actors and such a fan of everybody who's involved with The Chosen. So I'm definitely going to be trying to get some on board. I thank you for joining us tonight. I'm so appreciative of you, especially our fans that are hopefully joining the Shift Film Fan Club right now. We appreciate you so much. Tomorrow night, we're going to have another live stream. We're going to be talking with our producer Orlando J. Gomez, who is my partner in crime. He's the main guy that I rely on to get all of this done. And he's an extremely important person as far as this project coming together. You haven't heard from him yet, a little bit in the pitch video, but otherwise no. And so I'm very excited for you to meet him and to get his perspective. Orlando is somebody who's very passionate about his faith, very passionate about faith entertainment, and very, very critical of it. So Orlando's going to have some interesting things to say, and I hope you'll join us for that. That's going to be tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 Mountain, 6:30 Central, and 7:30 Eastern. So I hope you'll join us for that. We just had another investment come in from Nanette in New York for $250. I do believe Nanette is one of our power investors. This is, I think, the second or third investment that she's done with us. Nanette, we appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you. We have a big gap to cover. Tomorrow night during our stream, I hope to see the big investments that we so desperately need come in. We've got to hit that 93K tomorrow night in order to maximize the potential to get all the way to the million. We only have 3 weeks and 1 day to get to $1 million. To get from where we are now at 73,000. Hold on, I gotta refresh this. So you can't see it, but I can see it. 73,000. Oh wait, no, I think that's all you can see. I forgot to switch it back. $73,295. That's where we're sitting right now. We appreciate those of you that have gone in tonight and partnered with us. We appreciate those of you who have done additional partnerships. We do have a gap. I hope that you'll bring more people. Please let them know that this is the time. Forgive my fingernails. Thank you for tolerating them. And that's it. That's all we have for tonight. We're going to see you tomorrow at 4:30. Thank you so much. Thank you for your faith. Thank you for your partnership. I keep saying thank you because I'm grateful. And I don't get sick of saying it. You're probably sick of hearing it, so I will stop. Thank you very much.